Formula One Renault car circulate around this Spa circuit. Did about 1 lap at speed and then started to do donuts. I believe that was Nicholas Latifi driving the Renault Formula One car, and of course Renault a firm favourite of these ELMS rounds now. That will be the case on into 2017 too. And because of the Renault backing, it is free for fans to come and watch the European Le Mans Series. This fantastic circuit here at Spa-Francorchamps, 7 kilometres, 4.3 miles, and there is the Kemmel Straight with plenty of fans taking a stroll along the path to the left. My name's Johnny Palmer, joined by Graham Goodwin, the editor of dailysportscar.com, to my right. And this view from presumably a helicopter or a drone gives a great perspective of Les Combes and then the swoops of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit down the hill towards Bruxelles corner. You can see just how tight that is, and also how much height is lost through this portion of the circuit as it plummets down towards Pouhon and on towards Fagnes. A great place to go racing, going Goodwin, and we are about at least to do some qualifying next up. This is a chance then for people like JMW Motorsport to get their Ferrari in a good position, but the Porsches are due a good round, aren't they? They last won at Imola, and certainly Proton Competition looking to get their Porsches well qualified.
They are, Johnny, usually reasonably good around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. The Porsche 911s, these the 2015 spec 911 GT3 RSRs. Gaggle of Ferrari 458s, still the GT class in the European Le Mans Series, operates to those more used to WEC racing, to GT-AM regulations, a program format, and only allowed to run cars that are at least a year old in terms of specification. So no room in this championship yet. We wait to see what will be next year for the turbo-powered Fords and Ferraris as the new breed of GT cars come into fruition. But we do get the chance to hear these glorious, normally aspirated V8s of the Ferrari 458s, fabulous things. 51 car there of AF Corsa, and just in the background we've got a quick look at the green and white AF Corsa car, Duncan Cameron, Aaron Scott and Matt Griffin. But it's a very neat and tidy GTE grid here, some fabulous cars, some great drivers going to be on parade for this too. 8 cars, Aston Martin, Porsche and Ferrari all on the entry. There is the Aston Martin, been on form of late, the number 99 car, and on the roof there very clearly for the second half of the season. Innovation from the team, half the roof in the colours of the Union Jack and the other half in the national colours of Belgium, of course hosting this race. And out they go.
Just 5 points separating Alex McDowell, Andrew Howard, Darren Turner from Andrea Bertolini, Rob Smith and Rory Butcher in that red and black Ferrari, the yellow, red and black Ferrari that you just saw sneak through shot there through Radion. There it is, overlapping with the number 56 Ferrari of AT Racing. So everybody deciding to join this session very quickly, because we only have, 15 minutes, not 10 minutes on the clock, which is going to disappear very quickly indeed, especially when you consider that it takes about 3 minutes to get around.
Already just 11 minutes left, and it's Ferrari's
so it must have been 12 minutes in fact.
I think it's 12, yes. Ferrari's nose to tail. They won't want to carry on like that. They'll want some clear running. All 8 cars are out, and we can tell you that the drivers in this part of the session, Marco Ciocci, Matt Griffin, Sandra Pierre Guidi, Michael Mack in the 51, 55, 56 and 60, the Formula Racing Ferraris respectively. It's Andrea Bertolini in the 66 JMW car that Johnny was just describing. Wolf Hensler, factory driver for Porsche, is in the 77 Porsche Proton competition car. Matteo Caroli, who starred in Imola, didn't he? In the number 88 Proton car. And it is indeed DT, Darren Turner, in the number 99 Aston Martin Racing, the Beach Dean sponsored Aston Martin V8 Vantage. But we've got a front seat here. This is Michael Mack's view of the rear end of the JMW car. So these cars come round to start their first attempt at a flying lap. Daunting circuit this. Through Blanchimont, now down towards, well, still the bus stop, but not the bus stop of old. completely reprofiled corner. It's certainly a place where we expect to see some action. Michael Mack ducks out of that one and takes the 60 car down pit road. Very tight pit lane, pit in here at Spa.
It is, and it's, if you were to be able to see over that concrete wall, it is a steep drop down to the paddock below, and it's only when you see that part of the pit lane from the other side you realise it runs right along almost a cliff edge. But yes, you mentioned Mattia Caroli. We've not seen him since the Red Bull Ring, when indeed that car took pole position, and Caroli certainly in qualifying was a star man. He's back and driving the number 88 Porsche. Wolf Hensler at the wheel of the 77 Porsche. They are now both in the session as well. So it's just Michael Mack in the Formula Racing Ferrari that is not out on track. Although this is, as I've said, a 7-kilometre circuit, so to have 7 GTs circulating, there is plenty of clean air to try and find in order to set a competitive time. 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go of the 12 minutes though.
So Alessandro Guidi aboard this car. This is the AT Racing, the black car 56. And behind him, just out of shot at the moment, as Aaron Scott looks on in the AF Corsa pits, is that's Andrea Bertolini in the yellow, black and red car. Was marginally quicker in sector 1 than the Italian driver ahead of him. So 2 Italians in 2 very Italian Ferraris. Both run out of the first car run out of the AF Corsa garage. This one though, proudly run by JMW Motorsport, one of the longest surviving teams in the European Le Mans Series, desperate for this championship. Proud bunch of boys and girls in that pit garage.
And again, as far as the team's championship is concerned, it's JMW that lead it by 5 points from Aston Martin and the 99 car. AT Racing just 3 points further back. The Austrian entered crew with their Ferrari. So 68 plays 63 points, plays 60, and then a larger gap of 14 back to the number 77 squad and the Proton Competition Porsche. That championship battle, both for teams and drivers, will be a lot clearer by the end of tomorrow's race though.
End of the first flying lap. Alessandro Guidi goes through 217.701 to 218.177. So Pierre Guidi picked up time in second and third sectors there. Dropped a little bit of time to Bertolini in the first sector. And also coming through the other 2 Ferraris that are still out on track. So it's Marco Ciocci third quickest, with Matt Griffin fourth. So it's 56, 66, 51 and 55 Ferraris, 1, 2, 3, 4. The Aston though gets into the mix, third quickest for Darren Turner with his first effort. Looking at Marco Ciocci's progress now. Oh, big slide there. I do apologise, this is Michael Mack. This is Michael Mack who's back out on circuit.
Ooh, deep into the chicane though, and I wonder whether Michael Mack had thought about actually going back down pit lane again, but he will finish this lap.
This is where he starts his flying lap, because of course he ducked out of that last time around.
You're right,
through comes Wolf Hensler's come through, and if Caroli goes to the top, 217.580, just over a tenth quicker than Alessandro Guidi. So Porsche at the moment, 6 minutes to go, provisional pole position. Not, I think, what the Ferrari boys expected, but this young man, we said, didn't we, when we saw him first time out in this car, does look something of a star for now and the future. Darren Turner, meanwhile, will lose the lap he's on now with track limits. We saw this earlier in the GT3 qualifying, Johnny. And it's not something that Eduardo Freitas is going to take lightly, certainly in qualifying. You get over the track limits, you're going to be punished. Pierre Guidi, though, watching now in the black car, is going quicker still.
We also should remind ourselves that, yes, Ferrari start as a favourite for pole position, but they're yet to take a pole in 2016,
astounding, isn't it?
Such is their dominance in the races, you kind of automatically think that a Ferrari has started from pole in GTE, but it's not the case, because it was an Aston Martin at Silverstone, it was a Porsche at Imola, it was the other Porsche at Red Bull Ring, and the other Aston Martin, the 99, taking pole at Paul Ricard. So Ferrari with another opportunity to break that jinx, if you like.
And Alessandro Guidi looking the man most likely at the moment. He takes half a second out of Caroli. 1:17.038 now is the mark to beat. Still waiting, by the way, for a mark from Mikkel Mack. He's not set a qualifying time yet. He's on his flying lap, so we'll keep an eye on his progress. He's not on provisional pole pace at the moment, the Danish driver. That car does not seem to have been anywhere close to the kind of form we saw last year for the number 60 car in its championship year. But Pierre Guidi looking to edge away. Caroli is close to that pace, though. It's going to be close at the end of this lap for the number 88 Porsche. So it's 0.542 of a second. Here comes 88.
Charging his way into the chicane to end the lap, Matteo Caroli. And he set a very impressive time last time through. Can he snatch pole position back again from Alessandro Pierguidi? No, just misses out by 0.3 of a second. That is a better lap, though, from the Italian. So the 88 car doing a 2:17.376.
Good news, bad news for Matt Griffin. Up to third position briefly for the number 55 car, but then had that lap time deleted for track limits through the bus stop. So he falls back to 7th, would you believe? So it is still Ferrari 56 AT Racing provisional pole position from the number 88 Proton competition car. Then it's Bertolini up to third now for JMW Motorsport, 2:18.071, almost flat second back from Pierre Guidi, this car, number 66. Then Marco Ciocci, Darren Turner, who's also lost a lap to track limits, Wolf Hensler, Matt Griffin and Mikkel Mack has gone through. The field are spread by 2.3 seconds at this stage, with just 3 minutes to go. But some quick sector times coming in, not least from Matt Griffin, who goes fastest of all in the first sector. So let's keep an eye on the Irishman in the number 55 British Racing green and white 55 car. Keep an eye on his progress. Here comes Andrea Bertolini. This is a quick lap. Is it good enough to improve time or position? Second back at the moment, crosses the line now, does not improve.
2.5 minutes to go, but they're going to be action-packed all the way, and 2:17 it takes, 2:19 there or thereabouts to get around. So this Ferrari will get this lap and one more. The JMW Motorsport Ferrari then disappearing from La Source down the hill towards Eau Rouge. Matt Griffin with an absolute best through sector 1 goes third now in the 55 green Ferrari. So it's Alessandro Pierguidi from Matteo Caroli and then Matt Griffin in the 55. Andrea Bertolini slipping to fourth in the 66 car. So Ferrari from Porsche, two more Ferraris and then an Aston Martin driven by Darren Turner is fifth quickest.
And Darren's just improved to that fifth place time. He edges back Marco Ciocci and Wolf Hensler. So Pierre Guidi from Caroli, waiting for Caroli's latest effort. At the end of this lap, Griffin, Bertolini, Turner, Hensler, Ciocci and Mikkel Mack. 2.1 seconds the spread. Now, Mikkel Mack is beginning to get a little bit more speed out the number 60 car.
All over the curb out of Lecombe that time for Matt Griffin. He's through Bruxelles a little more tidily, and then onto the left-hander. Oh, again, loads of curb being used on the exit.
Pushing very hard.
Off and then some for the Irishman.
No improvement from the Porsche driver. Caroli stays that 0.3 of a second back. 1 minute and 10 seconds remain. And who is going to be most likely to improve here? Matt Griffin certainly thinks he can. Body language of that Ferrari. He's wringing its neck, isn't he?
A minute to go. And again, he's off the track coming out of Fagnes on towards Campus Corner. You can run out wide here as well, which he duly does, and onto Curve Paul Frere. Now this is the real scary bit of Spa-Francorchamps because the foot is flat to the floor, on towards Blanchimont, and it's blind, remember, so you just have to have faith that the apex is in the same position. Compared to a lap ago. He's got through there very quickly indeed. No curb required through that right-hand kink as he approaches the chicane, then get the car roughly to the left-hand side of the circuit. And he's backed off, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's backed off.
Doesn't think he can improve, and with 16 seconds to go on the clock. This is Pierre Guidi, and he decided he was going to go for another go.
Okay, that was interesting.
Now, you would guess he thinks he might have to use that because Caroli is as quick as he is. He didn't improve, of course, at that time, the compromised line. Matt Griffin is being called to race control.
Problem is, the speed over the line won't have been great, but of course you are then virtually into a dead stop at La Source, so maybe didn't lose an awful lot of time after that less than ideal route through the chicane. He's backed off though. The 56 car is slowing, and that will allow the 66 JMW Motorsport car through. That's not yet seen the checkered flag with Bertolini at the wheel.
And he's lifted immediately because Caroli is lifted in the middle sector, who was therefore under no threat on that lap. Bertolini doesn't look to be on an ultimately quick lap, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Michael Mack does not improve. He will stay 8th. Giocci will stay 7th. Hensler will stay 6th. Turner 5th. Can Bertolini improve on this time? Not sure that's going to be possible.
Well, 39.5 through the first sector is not as quick as that car's managed. It's about 3/10 off Cairoli's effort on the previous lap. And we're waiting for the second sector to be completed by Andrea Bertolini. Alessandro Pierguidi still out on track, but not running competitively now. He's happy with this provisional pole position. Unlikely that even if Bertolini were to improve, that he'd be able to take pole position. And Bertolini's slowing as well, isn't he? Yeah.
So it is AT Racing take their and Ferrari's first pole position of the season. That's an incredible thing, bearing in mind the numbers game here in an 8-car field. And we have had other cars in there. An 8-car field, a Ferrari has so far, until just a few moments ago, not set pole position in the 2016 European Le Mans Series. But that has been turned around by the all-black AT Racing car that Alessandro Pierguidi will share with father and son, Alexander Talkanidze and Alexander Talkanidze Jr.
Yeah, 9 cars, excuse me, 9 cars in total have partaken in the GTE element of the European Le Mans Series for this year, and 5 of those cars have been Ferraris. All 5 indeed are here this weekend at Spa. But the 56 car, is the first to take pole position, with Alessandro Pierguidi joining his regular co-drivers, Alexander Talkanidze and Talkanidze Jr. So congratulations to all 3, but mainly to this man, Alessandro Pierguidi, who works his way down pit lane now. The pit lane will prepare itself for LMP3 action in a moment or two, and another 12 minutes of qualifying. But Charlie George down in the pit lane will be making a beeline for Alessandro Pierguidi, no doubt, to congratulate him and have a word to find out how easy stroke difficult that session was. He was pushed hard, but in the end was 0.338 of a second better than Matteo Cairoli's effort in the number 88 Proton competition car. So 56 on pole, 88 alongside. Then the 55 AF Corsa car of Matt Griffin will start from 3rd position in front of the JMW Motorsport Ferrari, with its 2 wins and a 2nd place so far this season. On course for a hat-trick, or potential hat-trick this weekend. JMW Motorsport will have 3 cars to overtake though in the race.
Well, if Pierguidi isn't Italian for proper quick, it probably should be, Johnny. That was excellent stuff from Pierguidi. Didn't have that easy, that session, under pressure at the start of the session from Andrea Bertolini, and right at the end of the session from Matteo Cairoli.
So flicking the 56 Ferrari right and left through piff paff, plenty of dust being kicked up, and
perfect line.
It is, absolutely. No, I mean, a tutorial for Spa-Francorchamps. You could not wish for a better one than this from Alessandro Pierguidi. Taking the curb, taking certainly a little bit of track limits to the very edge of the envelope, but not beyond it, crucially. And that also means you get a better time. The more tyres you keep on the black stuff, clearly, the quicker you're going to get around this place. But there are a number of wide curbs that call you in, particularly on the exit of Campus, as we just saw there, the exit of Les Combes, and it's very tricky to get Eau Rouge right when you are pushing so hard. But well done to Alessandro Pierguidi, a seasoned campaigner in the European Le Mans Series, and he's got another pole position to add to his tally from across the years.
It'll be LMP3 next, and I know Charlie and the guys are working very hard to catch up with Alessandro Pierguidi, as indeed was everybody else. She'll be homing in on him like a Nomex-clad cruise missile right now.
So P3, let's turn our attention briefly to this part of the class. It'll be 20 cars here this weekend, and I think all of them have managed to get cleanly through the 2 free practice sessions, just about. So we look forward to this being the busiest of the 3 sessions. Although, as we said, this is one of the longer circuits on the calendar. So again, maybe reasonably easy to pick a free area of asphalt. We'll talk more then about the baby Ligiers in just a moment or two. But here is the pole position man in GTE with Charlie.
Alessandro, congratulations, pole position, and actually the first pole position for a Ferrari this season.
Yeah, it's finally we got a pole position this year. We did a great job since yesterday, and we improved a bit. But the setup was incredible from the beginning, and I love this track. So I'm very happy to be on pole. For me, for Ferrari, for of course, because they do a lot of job. They do a great job, so they deserve it. And I did the maximum to get the pole, and I'm here, so I'm very happy.
Good luck for the race. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to catch up there with Alessandro Pierguidi, and I look forward to his performance in tomorrow's race with the 2 Alexanders. So we turn our attention then, as I said, to LMP3 qualifying. In fact, 18 cars will be heading out on track in a moment or two. 39 cars in total, though. So promises to be a very, very busy race, particularly at the start, and also when the LMP2s start to lap the slower cars. Certainly there's going to be no let up from that point for the overall race leaders. It's pretty narrow in places, this track, particularly at that pinch point you can see in front of you, Eau Rouge and Raidillon Corner. So dealing with the traffic through those areas will be crucial to who wins this race tomorrow. There's the number 9 Graf entered, Eric Trouillet, Paul Petit and Enzo Gibert car. Graf are here with 2 machines. So in fact, they've got 3 chassis here this weekend, but only racing 2 of them. John Falb and Sean Rahal joined by Enzo Potilicchio once again. So that'll be a 3-driver lineup for the number 10 car. Falb and Rahal have done ELMS races, just the 2 of them in the past. David Drude, David Alliday and Dino Lenardi, who race for Duquesne Engineering. We'll tell you who's on board these various LMP3s just as soon as they exit the pit lane and trigger the timing loop.
To explain the changes, there's Sopwith Motorsport, by the way. Their second appearance in the championship and the last in this car for this season. I'll explain a little bit more about that later, but that car will be elsewhere racing whilst we're in European Le Mans Series action at Estoril. It'll be 18 cars in the session. Neither of the Euro International cars are here, and we've not yet had an explanation as to why, but all sorts of rumours as to what they're up to, whether or not it involves Asia or North America. And a change when we see that car, Johnny, as well, for the By Speed Factory team, the number 5 car, in the hands of a completely different team here.
Yes, personnel have changed, the drivers have changed. The only thing that hasn't changed from an entry point of view is the team name, because you're not allowed to do that.
Or number.
Or the number, indeed, yeah. By ACO rules, you have to continue under the same name and number of the team at the very least, but actually everything else in that garage has entirely changed from how that car appeared at Paul Ricard last month.
It's a fabulous blend of the Swedish and the Irish in
Indeed.
that car. That's
so we have Kevin O'Hara, Daniel Polly,
who are the Swedish, obviously,
and Kim Rodkjar,
who comes from County Lurgan.
Very good. Now, well, he's not Swedish, he's Danish, in fact.
It gets more and more complicated, doesn't it, this motorsport thing?
The team has elements of Swedish and Irish, that well-known combination.
Absolutely.
To them. So welcome to the European Le Mans Series, and the Spanish mechanics that were running that By Speed Factory team, sadly no longer in the garage. Whether they will re-emerge at some stage later on in the season or indeed next year, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we're about to see 18 V8 Nissan powered LMP3 cars.
Vincent Bowman-Hill says it's 13 seconds to open pit exit.
There is Eduardo Freitas, the clerk of the course, just giving final instruction to the drivers.
2, 1, Pit exit is green. The session has started for 12 minutes. Please alert your drivers to the respect of track limits.
That is the number 5 car that we're talking so much about, up on the stanchions, sadly.
Not looking like it's going to make this session, is it?
Well, indeed. They'll need to put several body components on that car before it even looks like a Ligier LMP3. And sadly, yeah, looks like that car will sit this session out. So that's not a great start to a new campaign for that team.
No, and instead of me being able to use the line of 144 Nissan pistons at work, a gross of pistons, it's 136, because fairly clearly the number 5 is not going to play a part in this session.
So 17 cars, fingers crossed, if the rest of them all make it out. 12 minutes has already started to tick down, as you can see from the top of the screen. On board then with Enzo Gibert, who pilots the number 9 car down the Kemmel Straight and towards Les Camps. The 9 and the 10 running together, so right behind him he's got Enzo Portilicchio. Haven't seen either of the United Autosport cars join the session yet, but it's early days. Eric Maurice is at the wheel of the number 4 car, and with that Alex Brundle now joins the session in the number 2 United Autosport car. That car can win the championship this weekend, Graham.
Yes, indeed. Huge weekend, by the way, for the man on the left-hand side here. That is Jacques Nicolet, the owner of Onroco Automotive. Unveiled their brand new 2017 spec, the first car to be seen, LMP2 car that will be racing in the European Le Mans Series and the FIA World Endurance Series next year. Powered by Gibson's brand new V8 engine. Came here fresh from 3 nights of testing at Magny-Cours. A very handsome car it is too. Of course, it's Jacques Nicolet's Onroco Automotive concern that has supplied at the moment all of the current ELMS LMP3 entry, as well as several of the LMP2s. Got its tow hook up.
It has. The number 9 car, super slow-mo there of that car coming through the chicane at the end of the lap. But yes, tow hook in the vertical position, which is not as the designer intended. It's probably worked its way up there through this fast sequence of corners at Blanchimont. And we haven't got all of the P3s out on track, I notice, because the Panis Barthes Competition car remains on pit lane as well.
So it's Alex Brundle and Matt Bell in the 2 and the 3 cars. The cars, first batch of cars, if you like, come through to start their first quick laps. It's Alex Brundle and Matt Bell in the 2 and the 3 United Autosports car. Eric Maurice in the number 4 car for Orc Racing. In the 24 car, it will be Pierre Nicolet, son of Jacques Nicolet. Then we've got Dross Kaiser in the 360 Racing car, the number 6. Senna Giotto in the Valoba Corsa number 7. Maggi in the number 8, which is Race Performance. Eric Gibert and Enzo Portilicchio. Portilicchio, of course, the 2012 LMP2 champion of the very first FIWC. Morton Dons in the 15. Eric Debar in the 16, yet to leave the pit lane. Mathieu Lehay in the 17. Jan Erlacher in the, well, now retiring from the WTCC, but owned this team, of course, by Ivan Muller. Dino Lunardi and Borga in the 19 and 20 cars. They are the Duquesne Engineering cars, both been going very well indeed. And Nigel Moore in the number 26 car, which was a standout star in qualifying and the race. Their debut in Paul Ricard. And that team, Johnny, will be back next year in a brand new LMP2 Ligier.
Yeah, that's great news that we heard this weekend, pretty much. Antonin Borger, the Swiss driver that you mentioned, this will be his 3rd round of the ELMS, having taken part at Red Bull Ring and also Paul Ricard. And there is the number 19 car of team mate Dino Lunardi. 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And into the chicane goes the number 26 Tocqueville Motorsport P3. A little bit of a wiggle there from Nigel Moore as he applies the power. This short burst out of turn 19 and then over the line as you get the car set up and stopped at La Source at turn 1.
So Nigel Moore, first man through, and therefore goes to the top with a 2:15.864 for the number 26 car. Pierre Nicolet is the second quickest at the moment, 2:17 for Pierre. 2:15.864 is what the rest will be aiming for. The number 16 car, by the way, has made its way out onto track. So there's Giotto in the number 7 Valoba Corsa car, goes up to second, to 16.7, so that's 9/10 back from Nigel Moore. Can they catch him? They struggled and failed at Paul Ricard. 26 from 7 from 24 at the moment. It will not stay that for long. And it doesn't. Morton Dons goes up to second position, takes just a couple of hundredths, in fact half a hundred, out of the number 7, but it's the 15 RLR car. Spin for number 4 of Eric Maurice out on track. And a very interesting new co-driver for Eric Maurice this weekend. We'll talk about that later in the weekend with Carlos Tavares and Peugeot aboard that car.
Alex Brundle goes quickest to 2:15.619, so that is a quarter of a second quicker than Nigel Moore. Jan Urlacher also, but then Matt Bell in the number 3 United Autosports car goes quicker than Brundle, a 2:14.684, which is nearly a second clear of Alex Brundle. United Autosports have taken a little while, but they're now starting to boss this qualifying session. It's 3 leading 2, and then the 26 car of Tocqueville Motorsports, third fastest.
That's a cracking time for Matt Bell after a very, very trying weekend in Paul Ricard. Didn't make qualifying, if you recall, and struggled in the race thereafter, but powered back through and almost made it back into the points. Matt Bell, Alex Brundle, Nigel Moore, the 1, 2, 3. Jan Urlacher, 4th. Morton Dons, 5th. They're your top 5. 3 from 2, 26, 18 and 15. Nigel Moore, though, goes through and splits the United Autosports car. He goes through the 2:15.025. 0.341 of a second back from Matt Bell. They didn't United Autosports, what their customer, it has to be said, because it was United Autosports that sold that car to Tocqueville Motorsports. Didn't like what happened in the hands of their customer.
There's Jan Urlacher, by the way, in the 18 car, now slipping to 6th, make that 7th as Dino Lunardi goes quicker than the Frenchman. So we have 6 cars now quicker than this number 18 machine.
And the late starting number 16 car goes up to 4th in the hands of Simon Gachet. Eric Gibert now 5th. So Bell, Moore, Brundle still the top 3 in a different order than the last time we talked about that. But then we get into the non-British drivers. It's an all-British 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Then Simon Gachet, Eric Gibert, Morton Dons, Dino Lunardi, Jan Urlacher.
And there is one Belgian driver in this LMP3 element of the race, by the way, Bert Longin.
Bert Longin is a long-standing GT racer. I think this may be Bert's first season in a prototype.
Right. Well, racing at his home event at Spa. There's Jan Urlacher hammering his way towards La Source, and he's back up to 4th position.
Brundle back to second.
There. Yeah, so Brundle slipping to second, Bell back fastest.
Back to second. He was behind Nigel Moore, so this
big one, yes. So moves up a spot from 3rd position to 2nd, and this looks like another good lap from Nigel Moore, though, to offer some sort of a reply to Brundle.
I think it's going to be a good enough reply to grab back at least 2nd place. He's been mighty in the 3rd sector.
0.04 of a second separate them at the moment. Surely Nigel Moore is going to be able to go through the final sector and improve on his 2:15.025. Starting another lap, Matt Bell. On board, by the way, with the number 16 car, the late starting Panis Bartis Competition car, and Simon Gachet is your pilot.
Goes to the top. It's a 2:14.622 for Nigel Moore, 62 thousandths of a second better than Matt Bell's mighty effort. So Nigel Moore from Matt Bell from Alex Brundle, the only 3 into the 2:14s with 2 minutes and 35 seconds remaining of this session. 26, Tocqueville Motorsports from the 3 and 2 from United Autosports, then the 18. The hands of Jan Urlacher. And Dino Lunardi 5th.
Nigel Moore hanging on for dear life, but keeps good control of the car through La Source and then Eau Rouge and Radion. That's an off-track moment for one of the Graf cars.
That's the 10, I think.
You may well be right. Couldn't tell from that shot, I have to say, but it could well have been the driver of the number 10 car, being Enzo Potolicchio. The 9 is the better placed of the two Graf machines. Enzo Gibert putting that in 8th position as we stand. There's Brundle in the 2 car, working his way right and left through the chicane at the end of the lap. 1 minute and 50 seconds, so this will be his final opportunity. But what of this lap? Over the line it goes, and Brundle puts in the car's best lap of the session at 2:14.8, but does not improve his position as Mathieu Lehay comes from way down to 4th position there for Ultimate. The number 17 car, 4th position.
Car 10 is another to have a lap time deleted. That was indeed Enzo Potlicchio going way wide. It was that lap that was deleted. So 0.2 of a second separate the top 3, 62 thousandths of a second separate the top 2. But it's Nigel Moore at the moment, and another quick lap for Nigel right now. That tops this session. Matt Bell had a mighty effort at wresting that back from him with the fastest 3rd sector of the session, but didn't manage to improve his time. 1 minute remains. What's left in this session? I don't think we're done yet, you know.
Concentrating on Dino Lunardi, who works his way through Blanchimont and then into what is now called the bus stop chicane. Very different from the one in the good old days, but the 19 car of Lunardi snakes his way then through this right-left flick to end the lap. Over the line then goes the Ultimate car, and Lunardi does improve up to 4th position, so displaces Mathieu Lehay, and Lunardi in the 19 car is looking like he'll get a 2nd row start in LMP3, but there are still cars going potentially quicker behind him.
One going quicker ahead of him though is Nigel Moore. Takes another 10th out the United Autosports car on a big one, and just stays out of the wall.
Great catch. That car started to slither and slide partway around Fagnes corner there. I think Brundle just got on the dirt, and one of those tyres just did not grip quite as well as the other 3. Spat him off to driver's right. Through the gravel he went, and he did really well to keep it out of the wall. We have a new name at the top of the times though, Graham.
Eric Gibert, the number 9 Graf Racing from nowhere, comes and blitzes the session. He's a 10th and a half ahead now of Nigel Moore. It's 9 Graf Racing ahead of the Topwith car. While we were busy watching Alex Brundle trying just a little too hard there, Eric Gibert had his head down, well, head up, and crossed the line to take provisional pole position. Not done yet though. Nigel Moore going quicker again in the 1st sector. Interesting comparison here with the sector times of these cars. It's very clear that some of the cars that are not going as quickly as the leading cars are trimmed out to a degree here, quicker in the 1st sector, but much slower in the 2nd. So the way the cars have been set up, and there's only limited parameters that can be used in the LMP3 classic course, that all those top 4 or 5 cars are slower than perhaps the next 4 or 5 in the 1st sector, but make up a lot more time in the more technical middle and closing sectors of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Matt Bell will end the session 2nd fastest at best. He's sitting 2nd at the moment with a 2:14.456.
Takes that with that lap.
Yeah.
So ahead of Nigel Moore, who topped the session. Where is Nigel Moore? It's another quick lap from him too. And another quick lap as well from Gachet, who's gone ahead of Brundle.
So Enzo Gibert from Matt Bell from Nigel Moore, who crosses the line and does not improve, although he was charging hard. A 2:14.5 is just short of his fastest lap time. He got up to within 3 thousandths of a second of it, but wasn't able to better it. There's Dino Lunardi, who is over the line to receive the checkered flag. 7th position for that Duquesne engineering car as we stand. On board though with Enzo Gibert. Now he doesn't look like he's going to improve here. Hasn't managed a personal best through sector 1 or 2. Will he indeed pit? Yes, the number 9 car decides to pit, so there's going to be no improvement from Enzo. Simon Gachet goes over the line and does not improve, so he'll be 4th, and it looks like it'll be Graf Racing then. A real surprise there, with the greatest respect for the French crew, and of course their escapades in motorsport go back many a year, but Graf Racing making a return to prototype racing and motorsport in general last year. And
another team that will be back next year in LMP2.
Okay.
That's another team stepping up. We've not yet heard whether or not they will make it to the WEC. I think the more likely option for Graf is probably a season with their new car. New Orica set for Graf Racing, and they will be in LMP2 next year, and I'm guessing alongside a renewed LMP3 efforts. But that was one mighty lap from Eric Gibert. While we were entranced by the battle between Nigel Moore, Matt Bell and Alex Brundle, Gibert was getting on with the job in hand, and boy did he deliver.
And that's a first pole position for either of the Graf cars this year. So they're really making a stride forward here in Belgium. We have this race and one more to come next month, by the way, at Estoril in Portugal. There was a big announcement yesterday from the ACO and the European Le Mans Series about the 2017 dates, some adjustments to the calendar for next year. We will take you through those probably before the end of this broadcast. All readily available, of course, on the internet as well. But we know that the prologue for the ELMS will take place at Monza. So we're heading to Italy to start the season, and that's a change from Paul Ricard last year. There'll also be a race at Monza for the ELMS. So we lose Imola but gain a fabulous another Grand Prix Grade 1 circuit in the form of Monza. So action-packed to the very last moment, that session, and it is a surprise name at the top of the times, because the number 9 crew from Graf Racing have managed to get pole position. It's congratulations to Enzo Gibert, and the young man clearly very, very happy with his exploits in that session. In fact, let's catch up with him now with our very own Charlie George.
Enzo, congratulations. A great lap there for pole position and the first pole for Graf Racing.
Yes, it's crazy. I'm very happy. Thank you for my team. The car is very fantastic, very good.
And you enjoy racing at Spa?
Yes, the Spa is a very good track. I like.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you.
I like. Yes, I think we all do. It is a
Two
great
very
place.
simple words.
Absolutely. It is a great track for any sort of racing, but sports car racing with the mixed class structure brings out the best in this, well, storied 7 kilometres of tarmac, doesn't it? It's it is a fabulous place.
But in the end, 64 thousandths of a second, the difference between Enzo Gibert's pole position time and Matt Bell, who must be a little disappointed, although of course he'll start on the front row within LMP3. But the car that can potentially win the championship this weekend, as you can see from that list, will start from 5th position. And Alex Brundle, you could see how hard he was pushing with that off-track moment through the gravel. It's Graf Racing, though, that take pole position, their first of the year, a 2:14.392 from the number 3 United Autosports car, 0.064 of a second. Tocqueville, pole sitters in Ricard, will start from 3rd position for this latest round, and Simon Gachet doing a good job for Panis Barthes Competition to mean that car starts from 4th position, ahead of Brundle and ahead of Jan Urlacher for the YMR crew. Ultimate, who flirted with the top 6, will start from 11th position. That was Mathieu Lehay, who nearly got a front 3-row start, a 3rd row start, as it was looking for a while, and he starts just ahead of Giorgio Maggi for the number 8 car. And we now very quickly, Graham, turn our attention to the bigger brothers of the LMP3s. These are the top flight P2 cars, top flight within ELMS certainly, and we get to see a bit more variety in the chassis shape, I suppose. There is a very focused Harry Tingle, the number 38 G-Drive Gibson. A thumbs up though briefly as he steps out of the zone and then straight back into it again. It's been a frustrating year, I think, for Harry. Of course, it started so well for the team, for the crew, victory at Silverstone, but that car has struggled a little bit since then. And this car was off earlier on today. I saw it returning on the back of a flatbed. New entry, though, for the European Le Mans Series, a car or a team that we will know regularly from GT3 racing. Graham.
We do, and a driver we know very well from that too. That was Laurence Fantour, who is climbing aboard. Not his first time in this LMP2 rodeo. Has driven at Le Mans in Ligier chassis, but with Honda power. This car, though, a Judd V8, fabulous sounding thing at the back, and Team WRT, providers of fast Audis to this parish in the Spa 24 Hours and the Blancpain Endurance Series, are putting a toe in the water into the European Le Mans Series, and well, a bit of a question for viewers later, because the car that they're in is, I think, going to be doing something very, very unusual indeed. Black bodywork on the front of the Dragon Speed car as well. And that car is another one that's been in trouble. A bit of a brush with the scenery.
At Blanchimont, yeah.
Not a nice place to go off there.
Very, very quick part of the circuit with Nicolas Lapierre at the wheel. At the time, I would expect Lapierre to be put in that car for this session, but we'll wait and see. The cars will be released in a moment or two for another 12 minutes of qualifying. As the Greaves Motorsport entered Ligier.
That's Berton at the wheel. Daniel Berton. And we'll be getting underway in about a minute and a half. In, well, a very neatly poised championship.
So Berton will join the session second in line. The number 38 G-Drive Gibson remains on the apron and on its jacks, but will be lowered very shortly. There's the 32 SMP Racing BR01 with a slight tweak in the driver lineup, because we welcome Vitaly Petrov from his World Endurance Championship duties, and of course former Formula 1 racer. He is very much part of the SMP Racing crew, and they have brought him along to an ELMS round for the first time to join Andreas Wirth and Stefano Coletti.
Absolutely right. And then we move along to one of the older cars in the field. This is the number 48 Oreca 03R, the car that preceded the Oreca 05. Flat black helmet, not sure which of the three drivers is in that car. And the third of the open top cars here, following the Jota / G-Drive 38. And the Murphy car is the 29 Morgan. This is Pegasus Racing.
And that's Leo Roussel, isn't it?
It is Leo Roussel, quick, young. I think he lives in Le Mans.
Right.
Leo, I believe.
Silver driver, sharing with Remy Streebig and Ines Tattinger.
And away we go.
So, a bit of gentlemanly driving there from the pilot of the number 32 car to allow the 46 in first. It'll be Stefano Coletti to qualify this car. Leo Roussel, as we said, on board the number 29 Pegasus Racing car. We've got Nico Lapierre at the wheel of the repaired Dragon Speed Oreca. And caught a glimpse of that, heading for Eau Rouge there with its black bodywork on the front. And looks like the plank on some of these cars, that piece of wood that sits on the undertray of these cars, will be worked very, very hard, judging by some of the ride heights of these cars. Set up for qualifying mode, of course. May not be running them quite as low as that come race day tomorrow.
So Nat Berton in the 41 car, as we said a little earlier, he goes through a shot there. That's Matthias Besch in the number 46 Tyrrell by TDS car. They've been pretty awesome in the middle to late part of this season so far. And I think you'd have to say on form, Johnny, you'd have to go a long way not to say that they at the moment, with an Oreca 05 that seems in very good order, not to be championship favourites at this stage. This is the Deck Sports, another Judd engine car, another Ligier. And this is another team, I believe, as yet unannounced, will be back with a brand new car this year.
All French crew, Patrice and Paul Lafargue and Dimitri Engelbert. By the way, that mysterious black helmet for the pilot of the Murphy Prototypes machine was that of Gary Finlay. Caught up with Gary, Sean Doyle and Greg Murphy briefly over lunch, and they welcomed to their car Bruno Bonifacio, who has been mainly competing in the Renault Sport Trophy this year. So there are two new drivers for us to get our heads around as far as the Renault Sport Trophy is concerned, who joined the Oregon team as Bruno Bonifacio makes the jump, at least for one meeting, to the Murphy Prototypes car.
It's Gary Finley's second outing with that team, I think, this year.
That's right. Sean's been with them from the start of the year, I believe.
I think Gary actually was one of the crew in the first Ligier LMP3 to join the championship last time out, with Roman Rusinov. Not driving this weekend. He has had some outings in the European Le Mans Series for the international team, but Simon Dolan there to the left. He'll be listening to Radio 2 as usual. But Roman Rusinov, of course, behind bringing the G-Drive backing from Gazprom. He works full-time for Gazprom and is, of course, one of the drivers in what has been, well, an unlucky campaign with the same squad in the WEC this year.
A few more drivers to tell you about. Paul-Luc Chatin drives the Panis Bartis Competition Ligier. We've got Andrea Pizzitola at the wheel of the number 25 Algarve Pro racing car, and Dimitri Engelbert for EDEC Sport. Tristan Gomandy at the wheel of Eurasia Motorsports Orica. Harry Tinknell, we knew, was in the G-Drive Gibson. Tracy Crone is at the wheel of the number 40 Crone Racing Ligier. And Lawrence Vantor, I think we told you about, in the 47 car. So already down to 8 3/4 minutes. Slightly strange livery of Dragon Speed, at least for the moment. They'll get that fixed for tomorrow, I'm sure. Heads out of the corner with no name and into the double left-hander at Pouhon. And Nicolas Lapierre, despite his off-track moment at Blanchimont, trying to avoid an LMP3 car in free practice earlier on today, well, showing no signs of needing to slow down because of that frightening incident. Lapierre, a true professional, and he's charging on his towards Campers Corner now. This looks like a very aggressive lap to start off the session. A spin early doors for Gary Finlay, though, in the Murphy Prototypes Orica.
Well, camouflage with the green there. So maybe nobody noticed.
The slightly lighter green of Gaz Monkey. So that car's been in two different livery this year. But back to the number 21 car of Nicolas Lapierre, hard onto the brakes into the chicane, tail end stepping out just very slightly, but it's mopped up nicely by the Frenchman, and he'll head over the line to set a marker really for him and everybody else. A 2:06.996 from Lapierre. Clearly goes quicker than all the P3 cars. Matthias Besch slots in behind in the TDS car, and then it's Nathaniel Berton who briefly held second. He's now down to third for Greaves Motorsport, and their Ligier make that fourth now as Stefano Coletti goes over the line for SMP Racing, a 2:08.1 for Stefano.
So Matthias Besch just under half a second back from the current pole position setter. Nicolas Lapierre, 0.462 of a second is the gap between 21 and 46. Orica's 1 and 2, then the BR01, as Johnny said, Stefano Coletti just over a second behind. But Lapierre is going quicker again, on board at the moment with Nat Berton. Not a representative time from the 41 that time around. And he's got Matthias Besch ever closer behind him. That will not be good news for Besch.
Unabated speed down the Kemmel Straight, just gets faster and faster before finally Lecombe comes into view. But it's still a really quick approach into that right, left, right sequence of corners, and then down to Bruxelles. These cars, though, at Pouhon now and about to head for Piff Paff.
One car that has ducked out of this session, the number 28 EDEC Sport car, is back in the garage. We'll come back to that one a little later because the action is unabated on track. Quick time at the moment coming the way of Nicolas Lapierre. Will the Ligier ahead be a problem for Matthias Besch, or has Nat Berton got onto the kind of form we expect from him? At the moment, Nicolas Lapierre has just got all the space in the world to find his best lines through.
Tinknell's through into third position. Coletti now fourth. Paul-Luc Chatin put in a good time there as well, a 2:08.3. Briefly held fourth, now down to sixth. Chatin down to fifth. Pizzitola is sixth. Then it's Nat Berton. Tristan Gomandy in the 33 Eurasia Motorsport car is eighth fastest. But Lapierre over the line, a 2:06.6 means that the Dragon Speed car holds on to provisional pole position, and EDEC Sports car back on the move. Good to see it out of the garage.
5 minutes remain. They need to get the car back out and running quickly. So Lapierre from Besch, Berton up to third now, then Harry Tinknell, then Stefano Coletti, Paul-Luc Chatin, Andrea Pizzitola and Tristan Gomandy. Gary Finlay has gone round a set of time. Lawrence Vantor is behind that car, so not a quick session so far for the debuting Team WRT. Leo Roussel in 11th. Tracy Crone in amongst the P3s at the moment, and Tristan Gomandy goes second quickest. So it's an Orica 1, 2, 3. It's Dragon Speed from Eurasia from TDS by Thierry Racing, and this is the car, 33 car. Tristan Gomandy has just wrestled around to grab a few more tenths. Still about 7 tenths back from the provisional pole setter, but Nicolas Lapierre is off the gas now. at least on this lap. 4 minutes remain.
Great time from Andrea Pizzitola, by the way, for Algarve Pro Racing through the middle sector, faster than anybody else, and Harry Tinknell immediately beats that. The 38 car in 5th as far as the times are concerned, but this is a real chance for Harry to improve that position. Car's best Sector 1 time and an absolute best through Sector 2 for the man from Exeter. Lapierre is still setting a very respectable time through Sector 1, although has he now started to back off almost to just ease things up a little bit for another push this time around. Tinknell goes second, 207.214 for Harry Tinknell, helped by that absolute best Sector 2. Tristan Gomondy therefore down to 3rd position. Matthias Besch is 4th, Pizzitola up to 5th. That will have been 4th briefly, I think, before Tinknell skipped ahead of him again, and Nat Berton completes the top 6 with 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go.
It's 6/10 of a second the gap. Is that anything that Harry Tinknell or anybody else can do anything about? Because it looks at the moment as if Nico Lapierre feels he's done enough. We'll see whether or not he continues through at the end of this lap to start another quick one. But at the moment, that's a mighty gap. Matthias Besch goes through, though. He's now second. It's now 4.5 tenths. Lapierre has pitted.
So confident, perhaps, that he has managed to sneak pole position, but we've still got just under 3 minutes to go, and the gap has not quite plummeted, but it's lessened from 6/10 of a second to only 4/10 of a second now, as that buffer back to Matthias Besch for Thierry by TDS.
And that came with only an improvement for the number 46 car in the final sector. There's no improvement in sectors 1 or 2 for the car. So if Matthias Besch can find the time in the first 2 sectors, this could be on.
Now Nicolas Lapierre is releasing the belt, so they can't send this car out again. It would be pointless. It wouldn't be able to get round quick enough to squeeze another lap out of this. So they clearly feel that maybe their tyres have already performed, and it's going to be tricky to go quicker than a 206.603. But try telling Matthias Besch that fact. He's heading out of turn 9 now, down the hill towards Pouhon. 1 minute and 55, so Besch will have this lap, and I reckon one more in the 46 car. It was a slow first sector though compared to Nicolas Lapierre, so I think he may have to scratch this lap and concentrate on the next one. 207.048 is the best time for the Swiss driver. Harry Tinknell is currently 3rd fastest for G-Drive. Then it's Tristan Gomondy for Eurasia Motorsport 4th, Andrea Pizzitola 5th, and Nat Berton for Greaves 6th quickest.
Besch is off the gas on this lap. Harry Tinknell pits too. I think they think this is done.
Why isn't Besch pushing it for another lap though? Or maybe he just thinks that the tyres beneath him have again given their best.
Is that our pole position man? We're going to know in less than a minute, because we'll know whether or not anyone's close here. Stefano Coletti is improved, by the way.
Clearly warm work inside that car. It is certainly pleasant here at Spa. There's a bit of a breeze, but of course once you strap a very large motor behind you and an enclosed cockpit, it gets very, very warm in there indeed, and evidence of just how hard Lapierre was pushing, explaining to his mechanics, I couldn't give an awful lot more. One car that will sneak another lap out of it is the number 32, driven by Stefano Coletti. What of Matthias Besch?
7th at the moment.
That's Coletti 7th, yeah. Yep. And Besch 2nd fastest, but will he get around in time to do one more lap in this session? He's got 20 seconds to cross the line. There's Tristan Gomondy.
Now he could be, this is the man that could, but although he ran wide out of La Source there, he could be someone to watch the first sector time from here. Improvements, by the way, to the back of the P2 field means we've got the 13 P2 cars in line astern now, ahead of the P3s.
Besch did get through, by the way, so he's now on to his final lap.
That's a quick first sector from Besch. It's not ultimately quick, but it's quicker than he went to improve to second.
37.5 is not the best sector for the car and for him, but it's still very, very respectable. So we'll keep a keen eye on the number 46 car, somewhere in the middle sector right now. Tinknell pits, so he's going to be no better than 3rd position, but nevertheless still a respectable place to start from in the Gibson that is getting no younger, let's face it. Tristan Gomondy in the number 33 car, 4th fastest. Then it's Pizzitola and Berton locking out the 3rd row as we stand. Stefano Coletti has one more lap. This one that he's on to potentially improve, and it's a 37.6 through the first sector for Coletti. So again, that could be something useful for the Monegasque. Leo Roussel still out on circuit as well, and somewhere in the second sector. And what of Matthias Besch, a 56? Still pushing, Graham.
Pushing. I'm not sure he's quick enough.
No.
He made all his time up in the third sector. WRT have called it a day. They've finished the session in 8th position. Should say, by the way, the 28 EDEX Sport car lost its fastest time and has dropped to the back of the field for track limits. Dimitri Unjambert still out there. Here comes Coletti.
Trying to improve on 7th position. Does he go quicker? No. 1.7 seconds slower than his 7th placed effort.
No improvement for Matthias Besch. Tristan Gomandy is the next man through and will be, I think, the last of the significant runners through.
But the celebrations have already started down at Dragon Speed. A big hug for Nicolas Lapierre from his co-driver Henrik Hedman. So well done to the number 21 crew, and Ben Handley won't be too far away either. Everybody's home now, Graham.
Gomandy has come home indeed. And Dimitri Unjambert, by the way, has crossed the line, but way, way, way down the field, in amongst the GTEs, in fact, to has set a qualifying time.
A 2:19.6, which, as you say, is half a second slower than Mikkel Mack's time in the 60. Straight to Charlie George, though, who's with Nicolas Lapierre.
Nico, congratulations, a great lap there and another pole position for Dragon Speed.
Yeah, it's a great result. I mean, since the beginning of the weekend we are fast, so we are quite happy that we put it all together. We had a bit of a crash on the last practice this morning, so the boys did an amazing job to bring it back, and the car was really nice to drive, and I enjoyed it very much. So now we are ready for tomorrow.
Now, you pitted quite early. Was that you were confident you'd done enough, or was there no more left in the car?
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool lap, and I think we couldn't go any faster, so we decided to stop. We need to use this tire for tomorrow, so we prefer to save them a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Quality act, well, on mic and in the car, Nicolas Lapierre. And a busy man this year, and into next with WC as well as ELMS.
So qualifying for the 4 hours of Spa-Francorchamps done for the 2016 European Le Mans Series, and Dragon Speed take a pole position at 2:06.603 from Nicolas Lapierre. 0.4 of a second quicker than Thierry by TDS Racing and Matthias Besch. It'll be G-Drive starting from 3rd position, Harry Ticknell at 2:07.214, and Tristan Gomandy trying to leave it late, but actually not able to improve on the 2:07.332 he'd set earlier on in the session. Algarve Pro Racing with a good starting position of 5th, courtesy of Andrea Pizzitola. Nathaniel Baton for Greaves Motorsport has managed to get the 41 car up to 6th fastest. Stefano Coletti charging hard to the very end of that session, but SMP Racing will have to make do with a 7th place start with their BR01 alongside Laurence Fantor, the homeboy in the 47 WRT LMP2. So qualifying, as I say, now complete for GTE, for LMP3 and LMP2. And the talking, I suppose, stops now, and we look forward to the 4 hours of Spa tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock local time. Should stay dry, but it's going to be very, very busy, particularly for those guys out front having to lap GT and LMP3 cars around this, at times, very narrow circuit. The first time the ELMS has been here in the last 5 years at Spa. We look forward to the race tomorrow. Bye for now, though.